So I do want to. I haven't scheduled a separate agent meeting, and I think we should, and maybe that'll help generate, and maybe grow the audience a little bit to have a clearer focus. There was the message that Andrea posted was a couple of folks from Northeastern want to talk about interpretable neural networks. It's an NSF project. So maybe we'll use this time in 2 weeks to do that. But I think we should create a separate agent track. So Trevor, let's talk about.
Yeah, I've got some ideas on that too.
Yeah,
Yes.
we can do that a little bit later. Okay. But and there a few folks have already raised their hands, say they're especially interested in that. So we'll make sure
Okay.
it's in. But yeah, the other thing was to bring up GoFannon, and we'll probably have a shorter meeting today. I'm guessing try to end 1:30, but maybe let's talk for 10 minutes about GoFannon and see what kind of discussion that spurs.
Okay. You want me to take it away?
Please.
Cool skis.
Let's
okay.
Really motivated too. I don't know that we've heard that word here yet. GoFannon. So
okay.
Yes, yeah.
So GoFannon is a project that I think I mainly started, and then have had gotten a lot of help and input, especially from Joe Olson, who's on a different call right now. Adam and Dean's contributed some code. Adam's been keeping an eye and like doing some usage downstream. It ties back to agents, so I don't want to give an entire thing on agents right now because I didn't make any slides. But if you're familiar at all with agents, you've got an agent that is an LLM and a collection of tools and some stuff. And an agent uses tools, and tools have functions. So every different agentic framework has a slightly different way that they package up these tools. So GoFannon is a central way that will interchange between many agentic frameworks. Currently supported, we've got small agents, LangChain, and Bedrock agents will be coming online very soon. And then the second thing that it's good for is there's lots of people who want to contribute to open source AI projects, and the nature of you can make a tool about anything says, all right, we've got Greenfield forever on, you want to contribute to an open source AI project. Cool, you can contribute a tool, then you can run off and use your tool in whatever other agentic framework you want. Other people can use your tool as well. So that is the crux of this project. Enabling new open source committers, kind of holding their hand and helping them out, as well as providing shims and interfaces between the various agentic frameworks. Go ahead, Andrea.
Yeah, I'm sorry. You said the name of this like twice and I missed it both times. What's the name of this?
GoFannon. So background on the name, and I don't know if the link on the website works, but GoFannon was a Welsh, like prior to Christianity, the god of the forge, who made tools and spears for everybody else. And there's a whole write-up about it that I took part of what my buddy who's really into Irish history said, and then threw it into ChatGPT and had to kind of finesse the edges around, and it made a very entertaining write-up. Like making it seem like I spent a lot more time thinking about it than I did, but it's nice.
You have a nice logo too.
What's up?
You have a nice logo too. I don't know what the story is there, but
the logo, I just went to, I think, ChatGPT or Replicate, and I just started firing away. We are down to get a new logo if you know anybody who knows design or has time to spend on Replicate. But that being said, let me present, and I will go into just giving a quick tour of the whole thing. So here is the website. Again, a quick ChatGPT job, but pretty functional. We've got a Discord that is it's really just a channel in the original, get out of here, cat. It's a channel in the other AI Alliance Discord, but because we want to be able to talk to community, I made a really, really clever script that takes all the documentation and formats it and cleans up the markdown. So it's saying this is going to logging.markdown, but that's been rendered as an HTML file. So again, pretty clever. So we've got our documentation for everything. These are groups of functions that already exist. We don't have a lot about the interchange with the agentic frameworks. That's probably good to do that I should work on. Oh yeah, cross framework compatibility. So this is the LangChain integration. But the idea here is you can import a LangChain tool, which is the Wikipedia query run. You create an empty base tool, and then you graft on that LangChain tool onto it. And then now you've got the result. So this is the base tool running the query on the Wikipedia query run of machine learning. So boom. I'm sorry, go ahead. Was that background noise or was somebody asking a question? Sorry.
My background.
Okay. Small agents the same way. Again, Joe's doing a lot of work and has it functional, but not quite cleaned up yet for doing the same thing on Bedrocks on Amazon Bedrock, which is a very robust LangChain, and small agents are great for your laptop. LangChain claims to have cloud integration. It's, as Adam's seen, it's just so overly verbose. I do not love it, but they've got a lot of tools in there too. So maybe LangChain has a tool and you want to run it in, I don't know what other framework, and there's an integration. So the idea is you've got kind of a Rosetta Stone, for lack of a better word. So that's the gist of that. And then if you go to how-tos, again, really focused on helping new open source committers get started. Like this would be patronizing for someone who's done this before, but if it's your first commit, like, all right, what do I need to do? You need to install Python 3.10. You need to install Git. You need to set up a GitHub account. Like this is really like starting in Crayola, how to make a commit to this repository. And I'm planning on blowing this out into everything you need, like your unit testing. And it's not just the function, like how do you write the function? It's not just the function, it's the unit test, it's the this, it's the that. So we're still working on that. And then we'll start shopping out to other people too. But anyway, so that's that. I've got a thing. People on this call will notice that there are no link backs to the AI Alliance. I can say I am just waiting for someone to review this PR, and then we will have link backs to the AI Alliance on that page too. So that is a fair call out. That's why it doesn't exist yet. Other thing we're working on right now, sort of eating our own dog food, but it will be using GoFan and functions in a Git workflow to review the PR. The idea here was if we're gonna have lots of PRs coming in from noobs, for lack of a better word, let's outsource some of this to ChatGPT. It gives an overview. It's probably a little too verbose at the moment, but this bad PR had an issue in the schema. And it found that it gives an overall impression of the PR, mainly that the template wasn't filled out and that the title's bad PR. And it's saying, look, man, they didn't bother filling out the template and they called it bad PR. You probably should read this pretty close because it's probably not the best quality quote. It's not. It's a fair point. Gives a general synopsis and then has another test it's doing and checking schema validation. This could be done by a lot of other tools, probably more efficiently, but just to show that it can do something. I purposely messed up the schema and the tool definition, and it caught it and said exactly what the problems were. So it is functional. And then gives it the output. Instead of a test just failing, it's actually telling the person like, hey, this is a problem and here's why. And then what file it's in. So that is the gist of it. If you want to get involved, go to the website, join the Discord. Always looking for new contributors. There we go. Always looking for lots of new contributors. And I apologize, the docs aren't 100% up to snuff right at the moment, but we are working on them all the time. Like I said, the main two thrusts at the moment for me and core maintainers are improving docs, explaining to people how to make their first commit and contribution, as well as expanding out the integration points with other agentic frameworks. And then my little side mission quest to go do the PR stuff.
Cool. I've got a few questions.
Absolutely.
Could you say a little bit about what functions exist right today and where we see that going in the near future?
So that's a fair question. Instead of me guessing, let me just look at the code. In fact, there is a roadmap.md that is got all of these. Current functions that exist today, some basic math, a archive search, an open notify space, which was based on a Lambda Bedrock example, and all it's really doing is it just gets the current position of the International Space Station. The Google search one works, so you can, Google search is a function that's built into Gemini, but you can use this function and now translate it into, it takes some setup on your end with Google stuff, but once you got it, you can now do Google search with Llama. Llama, I think, has Brave Search built into it. But yeah, you can just do Google search with Llama, so that's a neat thing. The National Highway Traffic Safety, the NHSCA, whatever they are, it's one that just gets complaints by vehicle. It was another demo function. It's whatever. Headless web browser, that can be, it uses Selenium on the back end. That can be handy for if you need to get information off of a page that renders in JavaScript. But
yeah,
there's issues around that too. There are the reasoners. I'm not sure how well those are going to translate into other agentic frameworks. But they are a neat thing. We'll probably need to test those a lot more. They do work though, just on their own. If you've got a really small model and you want to, like a Granite 7B or any 7B model, and you want to twist its arm into doing reasoning, you can you kind of graft it on with those, and it's not making reasoning in a single call, but it's doing reasoning through multiple API calls. There are GitHub functions too, which will probably be heavily refactored to support this other use case.
cool.
Now, as far as where that's going, I personally would like to implement, the city of Chicago has a poorly documented 311 API, just so every time I see someone in the bike lane, I can just take a picture of their license plate and then agent will fill out the entire form to complain to the city on my behalf. Because I know the city doesn't do anything with them, so I don't want to spend too much time doing it. But
Yeah,
it's still somewhat cathartic when I see the same car parked in the bike lane every day that I'm like, yeah, well, I reported it anyway. But aside from that, where the functions are going, like I said, it's mainly, the core maintainers are mainly focused on increasing integration points and increasing documentation so other people can integrate their own functions. So we're not specifically driving that in any particular direction. Anybody who drops in, it's, I gave it an open office hours with the community call last week, and we called them drive-by commits, and we're kind of setting ourselves up to be a repository of drive-by commits. The idea, a drive-by commit there being, you're just going to drive by, dump your cool new function. We've got a lot of checks in place to make sure that it's maintainable and then it's going to work. And then it just sits there forever and is a function and people use it. It doesn't need to be maintained. If the API breaks, we might deprecate it and just say, hey, this thing's busted. Somebody should fix it. But aside from that, it's pretty, yeah, we'll just be driving the integrations, and I can say where the integrations are going. Joel Olson, like said, right now is working on Bot03 for AWS. As soon as he gets that done, he's going to move into CDK. But he wants to do the Bot03 because he's learning all of the pain points that the CDK will make him learn anyway with the Bot03 stuff. I want to do, I don't particularly like AWS. I just have not had a good experience with that. I like Google Cloud better. Totally personal, and anecdotal, and I can understand arguments both ways. But so I was going to set up the GCP stuff. At the moment, it seems like their agentic frameworks are JavaScript and they've got it stubbed out to implement Python. So I'm just putting it on the back burner until they get their Python implementations done, as opposed to trying to guess where they're going to go. It just seems like an exercise in heartbreak. But we'll be adding GCP soon. And then probably more local agentic frameworks. I found some repo the other day. There's like 50 of them. Everybody in their cat has an agentic framework now. So it's,
yeah. Well, especially the AWS and GCP ones, would those stand alone as their own repos potentially?
I don't
Or-
think they need to. So if you look at, there's another PR that's open, called, oh, I'm on the wrong info. There's another PR open, number 44. That refactors the small agents and lang chain into mix-ins. And I think we can just have mix-ins for each one of them.
Yeah.
So my guess is the stuff Joe's doing is okay, yes, and Joe's probably he wants it to be like the user can then like 4 lines of code deploy an agent, and 80% of that stuff probably not going to belong in GoFanon. So yes, the rest of it may go into another like a GoFanon -examples repo. But just to build a tool, to build an AWS Bedrock tool from GoFanon, either to pull one in or spit one back out to it, that I think will live in GoFanon.
Okay.
Would be my vision.
I'll give others a chance to. I've got one more question I want to hit if we can, but give others a chance.
Yeah, I have one question for you, and it's, are you looking for anything in particular? Like, is there an effort for us to do some outreach to get some folks providing some of these things? Because I have to imagine these kind of small tool functions exist out there, and we probably have an idea of like, we'd love to pull these things together. Like, I don't know if we have a view of that, and maybe we can plan some sort of outreach.
Again, yes, and so the idea was first, thank you very much. The idea first is like, all right, let's get the documentation really, really lock tight. And then we'll reach out. We were going to do the equivalent of a friends and family round. We've got people who are tech. We have buddies who are tech sellers here and there, and reach out and be like, hey man, can you implement a function for working with your service? You know your service really well. Follow our documentation and tell us where things get confusing and where we need to improve it. And then once we have that nice and tight, then we were going to go to you, Andrea, and then start blowing it out to more AI Alliance members, the people we don't know, and saying like, look, documentation's there. If you have problems, still hit us up. But we feel like the documentation's in pretty solid state right now. So hopefully, because I hate to announce things and then people get excited and go try it, and then they get stuck in the mud, and then they're like, forget that, never going back.
Cool. Yeah, Supratik.
Yeah. Do you have any underlying framework to maintain consistency among the agents?
I'm sorry, say again.
Do you have any underlying framework to maintain consistency among the agents?
No, that I believe is out of scope for this project. And it is hard to maintain that discipline because we want to build agents too, but we're trying to only have the functions in this repository, and then the agent repositories do their own thing and managing their agent state and things like that. So like Amazon Bedrock, I believe, has multi-agents. LangChain has multi-agents. Is that what you're talking about, like around the multi-agent stuff? You're on mute if you're responding. Okay. So assuming that you mean,
The question is
sorry, go
that
ahead.
suppose I have 2 agents, right?
Mhm.
While trying to book, so I request a booking for a hotel, right?
Mhm.
So if the first agent already books a hotel, right? If you don't have the consistency, and the second agent doesn't see the same thing, right? Second agent might make a double booking.
Got it. And yeah, I think that is a real problem. I don't just think it's a real problem. I acknowledge that it's a real problem. It's just out of scope for this repository. We'll write a function for you to book on Priceline.com, but we don't maintain state across the agents and the actors and the other things.
Mm-hmm. We could come back to that problem.
Yeah.
Figure out who should take that on. For whom is that in scope?
Because to your point, it is for sure a problem. Just was too big for us at the moment.
Yeah, it's nice to have a really well-defined project with a clear scope like this. You know, one question I had with the integrations was, so small agents was announced in what, December?
Yep.
It's fairly recent. When I looked at it several weeks back, I initially kind of went to it thinking, oh, it's a function registry. but as I read, it was clear it was maybe that's not exactly what it was, and it involved some code generation. Can you talk about its place in the ecosystem? What problem is it trying to solve?
So I think you've looked at it more than I have, but my hip shot was the problem it was trying to solve is Hugging Face was afraid that they were falling behind and they weren't going to be a part of the agent revolution of 2025. So they're like, oh, we got to launch something. We got to launch something. So they launched small agents and done.
Okay.
As I remember just reading it, they were originally trying to make just like you said, a function registry. And I think they failed to maintain that discipline and started drifting into agent war land.
Yeah.
Which so we're trying to learn from that mistake and not do it. But again, I haven't looked at it enough to you are getting my hip shot drive-by gossip, not
Fair enough. Noted.
gospel facts.
No, that's helpful. Yeah. But it definitely seemed like more than a function registry. It was kind of, and it seems likely that it maybe evolved quite rapidly.
Yep.
During last couple months. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, anything else on the agent discussion? So for those, a couple of folks joined a little bit later, I think we should split out a separate, we've been talking about doing this for a little while, but this has been our standing FA3 kind of general meeting. We'll get something regular, probably bi-weekly, to talk about agents specifically, because I think there's enough interest there that we can have it's enough of a focused topic, and I think there's enough of an audience that we can have a nice dedicated discussion to that on the calendar. But other than that, oh, and Andrea, maybe, this is topical. We will use this meeting next time. Andrea, I was trying to reply to you, but Slack was failing to send the message. So I'll tell you live. That sounds great, that talk proposal on interpretable neural networks. So we'll got that penciled in on next. So what is it, March, whatever, 2 Wednesdays from now. We'll do that. Perfect. Here. Yeah.
Oh, good. And I thought when they took us through kind of an overview of it, I was like, oh, this is amazing. And I think that you guys would really, it would benefit to get like some education out there on what they're trying to do. And also, because it is NSF funded, we can extend it into broader organizations outside of the Alliance, as long as there is some coordination through the US. So I feel like that was also a kind of a win-win. I had a quick kind of a administrative question, and since I have you and Dean on as kind of focus area leads, I thought I maybe could just pose it here and you could just give me your quick insights. Today, we have Google groups set up that control access to all of the different kind of content in the Alliance. And so it's very much, we're maintaining a whole bunch of different administrative lists and Google groups. And it's a little bit of a nightmare. It's proven to be more difficult than I would like to. And we're now doing this move to HubSpot, which you guys may have seen. And HubSpot actually allows each of you to maintain your own groups for like outreach and stuff, for like, you can do whatever. So one of the things I was thinking, and I wanted to know if anyone had any objections, since everyone in the Alliance is in the Alliance, is there a reason that we're kind of controlling access to the focus areas individually? Or are we comfortable saying that if you're in the Alliance, there's one Google group that's just everyone in the Alliance, and you can go and see content from any other focus area? Obviously, you probably will only focus on the things you really care about, but I wanted to make sure there were no objections, and I wanted to kind of get that with the broader groups, focus area lead groups.
Good question. I'll let Dean take it. Yeah.
I think you're right about the access. The other way, though, that I use the Google groups is basically the mailing list for invites for meetings. And we haven't really used it for any other purpose yet. But I don't think there's any reason to restrict.
Okay, good. Because then I can move that. By the way, I like the chair you're sitting in. It gives you a very throny kind of an appearance, which is fantastic.
King Dean.
See, Paco likes it too. You do look like you're sitting. I need you to have a scepter in your hand, or like maybe a chalice or something, and then we're going to be really good. So one of the things I can do is I can go to the existing Google groups and I can create in HubSpot mailing lists for you. And then you can use HubSpot, and then it controls two things. Like you can see how many people are opening it, whatever. It's just it's
Oh.
kind of a better tool for outreach than what we're doing in Google Groups. And it feels
Yeah.
like the Google Groups has just gotten administratively awful. And we don't have enough licenses to give everyone access to own their own Google Group. So it ends up being a real bottleneck and a giant pain in the butt. So
Okay. Yeah, and there's some bugs definitely that I hit, some poor error messages and things like that that were getting in the way of me scheduling a meeting recently. But yeah, I think Dean covered the two things I was going to raise. Like in general, absolutely. I think just it's all open. That's part of our core MO. But yeah, we just need a clear way to. We don't. There's enough meetings happening. We don't want everybody to get every meeting invite. So if we can use HubSpot for that too, that'd be awesome.
excellent.
Cool. All right. Well, we can keep it to a half hour today, and we'll look forward to the talk from Northeastern in 2 weeks, and we'll spin out a dedicated agent meeting. Any other last words, thoughts?
Adam, if you got the other 30 you want to stay on, we can just talk about that.
Sure. Yeah, I can stay. Yeah, or maybe I'll ping you.
That's fine. Yeah, whatever. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye.